However, I've talked to some agents and they've said, well, what do you tell people when they say, hey, some other agent offered to sell our house for next to nothing? I even had somebody that I was talking to about selling a house. They said, well, let me back up. So this particular person, I feel like this is relevant. If you're looking for short and sweet and you don't want these stories, then you probably shouldn't be listening to a podcast. You should probably be on TikTok looking for short and sweet. But so I'm going to dig into the story because we're here. This particular house was a flip. 2 or 3 gentlemen got together, bought this house. It had great character, great potential, great bones. Everybody says that. Nobody really knows what it means, but great potential, a lot of character. I mean that. Stone, exterior, slate roof or tile roof, very much like 1900s, 1920s, most expensive house on the block at that time. In an area where you've got a lot of other homes, built later, built kind of around that house that are not as nice. Not a particularly great part of town, but convenient location, nice setting within the area, within the neighborhood. So they put a ton of work into this house. The price that they're asking is way up and above what any other house in that neighborhood has sold for, or the price that they want anyways. Well, the price that they're asking now. At the time, this is the price that we want. It's way above everything in that neighborhood. Rightfully so. It's probably the nicest house in the neighborhood. It was 100 years ago for sure. It had, kind of fallen into a state of, disrepair, but these gentlemen went in and they fixed it back up to what it should be. And it's, again, probably the nicest house on the block. They got offers from a lot of different agents. And at one point I even told them, I said, you've got the nicest house on the block. You're looking for the highest price of any house that's ever sold on that block, the highest price of any house that's sold in that area. And you are potentially interviewing the cheapest agents in the marketplace to help you maximize your investment. Does anything about this not add up? And at the time he agreed or whatever, but it's tempting, man. I get it. I talked to him again later. He said, you know what, we're going to list with this other. I never even got to talk to the partners. I never got to the point of the interview. I kind of came in late behind a couple of these other people, I think. But when I called him back to say, hey, have you made any decisions? Would you be against having that meeting? I know, you were pretty close to being at the point of making a decision that first time we talked. He said, you know what, we did decide to go with that other agent. He gave us a great percentage. That was his specific words. He gave us a great percentage. And the words themselves really kind of irked me because, first of all, he didn't give them anything. He's taking from them. They're giving him a percentage. Might be great for them. It's not really great for the agent. He's taking that money. The question is the exchange of value, right? Nobody, we charge people money to help them sell their houses. We're not taking from them necessarily. They are giving to us that money. So we're taking from them in a sense, but we're not, taking and stealing are two different things, right? But it's an exchange of value. To take something in a negative aspect or to steal something is when you're taking or receiving something from somebody else with or without their knowledge, but they're not getting the exchange of value. That's the way I look at it. This agent is taking this percentage to put a sign in their yard, list the house on the MLS, and hope some other agent comes along and sells the house for them. They're not going to do anything. They can't afford to do anything. If they are going to do anything, God bless them, because they're going to be negative, and I don't know how you run a business that way. But it's a nice house, nice location. This agent really wants to put their name on the sign and put it in the front yard. Maybe they can use that exposure for something else. Good for them if they can. God bless them. I don't know if they're new or if they're not. Maybe they don't need the exposure. Maybe it's the kind of exposure they don't want. Maybe these guys are going to go and tell all their investor buddies, hey, this guy's willing to work for cheap. Good luck, climbing out of that hole that you dug yourself as a business person. The other thing that stood out to me, and I did say this to him, I said, well, that does sound like a great rate for you guys. Did you have to negotiate with him to get him down to that rate? Or Did he just come right out with it? And he said, no, we didn't really have to negotiate. He just kind of came right out with it. You're hiring this person to negotiate on your behalf. They won't even negotiate on their own behalf. They just came down to the lowest possible price. What if that's their negotiation strategy for, all of their listings, all the homes that they sell, everything that they do? They've put a label on themselves as, I don't deserve to make any more money than this. I need to be the cheapest. That's the only way anybody would want to work for me. That's my value proposition, is I'm the cheapest. That's not a very good outlook that person has on themselves, and that's going to reflect on their product, which is your house, right? If you're the seller of that house, you're hiring that agent, you two are on a team. You're marketing your product. That agent is treating that house as that listing as their product as well. The other thing is, if he negotiated to get down to that price, which again, in this case, he didn't, he just went straight down to that price. For the sellers of the house, they might be saving 1 or 2% of the purchase price. For the agent, that's not 1 or 2%. That's 30, 40, 50, 60% of their paycheck that they're going to make, right? We only typically make, let's just say 3%. There's no standard. It's illegal for us to say standard, but we know what's common out there in the marketplace, and it's, let's just say around 3%, give or take. That 3% to the seller, 3% of the purchase price, 3% of their money that they're sharing, they get to keep 97%, minus their other fees and taxes and all of that stuff. For us to take 1% off the commission, we're actually taking 33% off the commission. For us to take 1.5% off the commission, we're taking 50% off of our income. If that agent is willing to come down 50, in this case, I think it was like 60% with their own money, what makes you think that they are going to fight for you to keep 5 or 10% of your money, right? This was a $330,000 house. This seller is going to save $6,000 by listing with this agent. When that offer comes in and it's $30,000 under the asking price, what do you think this agent's going to do to make that up? They're probably going to tell the seller, we should have listed it lower to begin with. They probably are going to take that house, and when it doesn't sell at that high price in 2 weeks, they're and they can't do anything with marketing. They can't do anything with advertising. They don't have any money. They're not going to make any money either. So there's no, reimbursement if they come up with the money somewhere. They're going to put a sign in the yard. They're going to put it on the MLS. And in 2 weeks, if it doesn't sell, maybe it will, maybe it won't. They're going to tell the seller we need to reduce the price. And a good price reduction, a healthy price reduction in this market, depending on the amount of traffic, if you're getting good traffic but you're not getting you're not getting any offers, you might look at that and we might think, rule of thumb is probably 5%. That's how far off it is. If it was 2% overpriced, the buyers would come in and make an offer. And of course, not all the buyers are analytical, but again, this is a $330,000. If the buyers felt like it was worth $320,000, they'd just make an offer of $320,000. If the buyer feels like it's worth $3,000, they're not going to make an offer at all. You're going to reduce the price, 5%, which is what, $15,000. It's going to be, $315,000 or $312,000 or something like that. You make up some number like $312,900, and maybe at that point that buyer comes in and goes, well, they're getting closer to where we want to be. Let's go in at the $300,000 and see what happens. Maybe we can end up at $306,000. That's more than we want, but let's see what we can do. Maybe that works, maybe that doesn't. That seller just sold the house for $306,000. They wanted $330,000. Could a different agent have gotten them more money in that case? Well, there's a lot of aspects to, do you have the traffic? You're getting the traffic, you're not getting the offers. You get the offer, how do you negotiate to get it up to the best price possible? Hopefully you get another one, maybe you get 2 offers and then you call for highest and best and hope that they both don't terminate. I've seen it where that happens. They do a price reduction, call for, get 2 offers, call for highest and best, and then it ends up selling for closer to the original price. So maybe they get lucky and something like that happens. But good luck. most people in business, I don't think they want to rely on luck. If that seller could spend $3,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 more dollars, but make an extra 15 or 20, you would think they would want to do that, right? And that's where these negotiation skills come in handy. That's a big, long setup. I appreciate you guys listening. I'm going to give you the 4 tips that I have for negotiation right now. Number 1, make the other side feel understood. Don't push to try to get them to understand you until you've made them feel like you understand them. If you haven't taken the time to let them know that you understand them, then don't even think about trying to get them to understand you. Tip number 2, you got to learn to say no without saying no. Doesn't mean you have to compromise, but you need to learn to say no without saying no. Too many people think that a good negotiation is nope, 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 not going to do that, not going to budge, I'm firm on my price. No lowball offers. You see that on like Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that. I know what I have. Nope. I talk to these people that are selling a house themselves. Not going to work with an agent. Nope. Not going to pay anything. Nope. That's not negotiating. That's just being stubborn. That's knowing what you want, but not caring what anybody else wants or wants to give you, and not being willing to even work with anybody else at all. That is not negotiations. Some people think, a good negotiator is just somebody that refuses to budge. It's not a physical fight. It's not me. It's not, what's that game that you play on the playground, King of the Hill? Like, it's not, I'm going to stand my ground where everybody else tries to push me off, and that's what's going to make me a good negotiator. Now, if you're somebody who thinks you're a shark, maybe that's the way you look at it. You're the king of the ocean, right? Nobody's going to push you. Listen, learn to say no without saying no. I gave an example at the beginning here. Hey, we appreciate the offer. We see where you're coming in at. Yeah, unfortunately, the sellers just are not ready to come down to that price. I don't think they're going to have to personally, but we just can't do it right now. We appreciate it. We're going to take our chances and see what happens with these next few showings in the next few days. If you guys are still interested later on. Something like that. I didn't say, no, your offer sucks. I didn't say, we have comps, right? This is the value. This is what it's worth. Well, value is usually in the eyes of the buyer. Of course, the seller doesn't have to let it go for less than what they think it's worth. But if their idea of what they think it's worth is down here and all of the buyers in the market are down here, then they're just not going to sell. Maybe they don't have to sell. Maybe their market value, maybe they don't care about market value. Maybe they're looking for a buyer who doesn't care about market value. Maybe there's unique parts to the house or to the situation, the property, the setting, the location, that for the right buyer, they'd be willing to pay more than what all the other buyers are willing to pay. And they know that they're doing that. I think that's the appealing part to a lot of these people who are trying to sell a home themselves is they don't want it to sell in 5 hours. They don't want everybody in their mother out there to love this house at that price and to want to make an offer. In fact, if the house sells in an hour, they're going to feel like they priced it too low. They would rather price it high, and they don't care if it takes 3 months to find the ideal buyer who's willing to pay that price. Third tip, look for a non-monetary contribution that you can, a non-monetary contribution that may be of value to either party. That's what I have written down here. Look, you got to refer back to number 1, make the other side feel understood. Not just make them feel understood, but do your best to actually understand them, right? It's not a facade. This isn't about, being fake. This isn't about, tactics to make them feel understood, but without actually budging. That's not what we're trying to do here. You really have to understand the other side, and it goes back to saying no without saying no. Why is that buyer at the value that they're at? If you're the seller, and I know I've been leaning heavily on the seller's point of view here in these examples that I'm giving, but we work with buyers as well. We have agents on our team that work almost exclusively with buyers. Anybody out there who's thinking about buying, give us a call. I could share plenty of examples and stories of times that we've negotiated on behalf of our buyers and gotten great deals and honestly, somewhere we can say, maybe that probably wasn't that great of a deal. It's good for them, but I hope they don't need to sell anytime soon. You know what I mean? That house was perfect for their family, but I don't know how many other families, or I don't know how many other individuals or couples out there are looking for something like that. But it is what it is. The clients make the decisions. But anyway, back to what I was saying. You really have to understand, where is that buyer coming from? What's important to that buyer? Why are they down here and you're up here, and you feel like, well, the market's here. Okay, maybe that buyer doesn't care about the market. Maybe it's genuinely all that buyer can afford. Maybe that buyer is saying, hey, we know the house is worth more than this. We really are not trying to insult you here. We're just, taking a shot at it because we feel like this house is perfect for us, for our situation. And, we just wanted to make you an offer. And if you don't want to take it, we totally understand. And that seller says, well, what's the situation? What are you talking about? And they say, we've got this, this and this thing going on. This house would work. Again, we know it's probably worth more than this. We know there's probably another buyer out there who'd be willing to pay more. We know the one down the street sold for a little bit more money. We don't know if somebody's going to be willing to pay that price for this one or not. This is where we're at. This is what we can do on this house. Maybe it's a money thing. Hey, we have a little bit more to come up, but we really can't do that because we need to get furniture for this house. We're moving whatever the situation, it's a divorce or it's something like that. And maybe you don't want to tell them that. Maybe that's too personal. Maybe you don't, but maybe you do. Again, there's probably not a rule of thumb on that. I think a lot of agents are afraid to disclose personal information, which you shouldn't without your client's permission. But at the end of the day, that seller might say, all right, no, that makes sense. We get that. We get why you wouldn't want to come up any more in price and not have any furniture in the house and not be able to live here. We get that. We understand. Tell you what, we don't really need all of this furniture in our next house. We're thinking about buying new furniture anyways. If we could leave, the living room set, washer and dryer, a couple other things, throw in a home warranty, would the buyer at that point be able to come up to this number? And I don't want any agents watching this that just came out of the pre-licensing classes and they're like, well, that's chattel. You can't, the couch can't be reflected in the value. I'm just giving you guys basic negotiation tips here, general negotiation tips. This could apply to a car. This could apply to, something on Facebook Marketplace. Could apply to anything, right? Again, the value in the bank's eyes is based on the appraisal. All they care about is what did the comparable property sell for. If the house down the street had multiple offers 6 months ago and it sold for $30,000 more, then I don't think they're going to give you a hard time because, first of all, they're not even going to know. But the buyer came up for $1,000 at one point because they threw in a couch. But you got to understand the situation is the point that I'm trying to make, because it could be counterproductive and counterintuitive to throw in non-monetary items to somebody who has no need for them. Hey, would you come up to this price? We'll give you the couch. The buyer's thinking, I don't want your smelly old used couch. I have my own couch, first of all. Why would you even think that I would want that? I'm offended by the fact that you would even try to give me that disgusting couch, right? And then the seller's going, well, that's, they're ungrateful. This is, how dare they insult my couch, right? And now you've gone from here to, okay, we're further apart than where we even started. So you can't use a non-monetary contribution without understanding what's in it for the other side. I've had some examples of that where I've had people, outside parties, trying to influence a negotiation, we'll just put it that way. And they say, why didn't you ask them to throw in something? What did you want them to throw in? I wasn't aware that our client, not you, not the person I'm talking to, but this outside person says, hey, you're representing these friends of mine. Why didn't you negotiate a little harder? Why didn't you get them to throw in the washer and dryer? They didn't tell me they needed a washer and dryer. I thought we were getting them a pretty good deal on the house. Other houses in the area are selling for a lot more than that. We were all on the same page. We thought this was a great deal. Could we have got them to throw in the washer and dryer? Maybe. Let's do the home inspection first. Let's see what comes up in the home inspection, because we may need to renegotiate for something more important at that point. Get through the negotiations after the home inspections. Seller says, hey, by the way, I don't even need this washer and dryer. You want it for $150? I bought the washer and dryer for them for $150 and just gave it to them as a closing gift. Again, if you just finished your pre-licensing, I don't want to hear that we're not allowed to give gifts over $50 value. Let's just scratch the whole part. Go back and say that I only paid $50 for the washer and dryer, okay? Point being, don't throw in non-monetary items if you don't need to, and if it's not of value to one party or the other. Now, they appreciated it as a gift, but I don't think they would have cared about it coming from the seller as a non-monetary contribution in the agreement. Fourth point, last one, use an intermediary. I'm using the word intermediary. I don't even know if that's what you would call it. Call it a middleman, call it whatever. This is essentially what we do. And I'm not saying you have to hire an agent if you're one of those people watching this who's just looking for negotiation tips because you're trying to sell your home yourself. Good for you. Use some sort of an intermediary. I am an agent. My wife is a licensed agent. When we've purchased properties and done real estate transactions in the past, usually one of us is pretty much designated as that contact person. A lot of the times it's my wife, even though I'm more active in real estate and more active in negotiations on a day-to-day business. Usually it's my wife for multiple reasons. I'm usually busy in the business on a day-to-day basis. So when it comes to our personal stuff, we're relying on her to kind of step up. But the other part of it is it's not lost on us that she can finish that phone call with that other agent or that other party directly. We've done that plenty of times. And say, all right, listen, that sounds good. I see where you're coming from. I understand. Let me go talk to my husband and see what he thinks and get right back to you. She's not pressured to give a response right then and there on the spot. She's not pressured to really do anything. She can hang up the phone, and we've been on the other side of it too, where I've done it, where I go, okay, let me call my wife, and then I hang up the phone and I call Lisa and I say, here's what they offered, here's what we're gonna do. She goes, yeah, of course, okay. Like we're not even discussing it really. I'm just telling her this is what needs to happen, and of course we're on the same page. But it just gives me a moment, or gives her a moment, or whoever the other, whoever these parties are, if you're watching this, it gives you a moment to process, to think about, and then to brainstorm and bounce things off of. And then, okay, yeah, this is really what we need. We're way off of where they want to be. How do we approach it? Do we go back with the shark mentality and say, no, we're firm. We're not gonna do it. We're tough. We're the king of the mountain or king of the hill or whatever it's called. We're shark. We're the king of the ocean, king of the jungle. Or do we think about how can we propose this? Think about our words. Go back and say, listen, bad news. They're not going to accept the offer. My husband said we can't accept that offer. I get it. I see where you guys are coming from. If we can come up to this number, then I think that my husband would probably agree. We would agree that we could definitely do it for that price. If you're not willing to come up to that price, I mean, I totally understand, right? So it's kind of like good cop, bad cop a little bit too. You can do that. Again, it takes the pressure off of you. It takes the contention out of it. It allows you to, or whoever the intermediary is, whoever the person is that's speaking and contacting directly with the other side of the negotiation, the counterparts, if you will, it's giving them an opportunity to kind of be on their side. Now, of course, it's not a manipulation, right? It's not, oh my God, my husband's unrealistic. He's nuts. I'm totally on your side. I want you guys to get the house, but my husband's just not willing to budge. Maybe that's really the way it is. No problem with that. I have a lot of agents that come to me and go like, listen, client's being a pain in my butt. And you're like, oh my God, they're supposed to be representing their client's best interest. They can't talk about their client like that. I'm going to report them. I'm going to file a complaint to the board. Meanwhile, they're about to get the client everything that they wanted, right? That's really what's important. Now, I'm not saying go that far and insult or put down your husband, your wife, your agent, your client, whatever it may be. I'm just saying it allows you to remove a little bit of the contention from the relationship with the other side when you use an intermediary. Now, of course, husband and wife, you can do that. Family member, I don't know what the legal, what the law is on that. You can't get your neighbor or your friend to go out there and negotiate a real estate deal on your behalf. That is what agents get paid to do. That is what we are licensed to do. I can't go pay somebody. I was going to say cut my hair. That's a bad example. But if you do makeup, or you cut hair, or you do any number of things, obviously medical, all these things, obviously legal, you can't represent somebody in a court of law if you're not licensed in Pennsylvania as a lawyer. You can't cut somebody's hair if you're not licensed as a whatever, cosmetologist maybe. I don't. Is that makeup? I don't know. I don't do any of that, obviously. But you can't charge somebody. You could do your friend's makeup. You can cut your friend's hair, but you can't charge them without having a license. You can't really represent somebody in a real estate negotiation unless you have a license. Just like you can't represent somebody in a court of law or give legal advice to somebody in exchange for money, of course, without a license. Again, if it's a family member, something like that, you're probably not paying them. So it's a little bit different. If you don't have somebody like that, then that's all the more reason why you should probably hire an agent, because that concept is worth the money. That's why agents exist in the first place. That's why attorneys exist in the first place. Hairstylists and makeup artists and all of that stuff, that's a little bit different. The ironic thing is you have to get more hours and more training to get a license as a cosmetologist as you do to be a real estate agent, but that's a whole nother topic of discussion. But that's why our job exists in the first place, because you need to be licensed to represent other people's best interest and to be aware and educated on those fiduciary duties, which again is when I say that it's our job to represent our client's best interest, not to disclose anything that could hurt their best interest, not to disclose anything that is confidential and just shouldn't be disclosed, unless the client says, hey, I don't care if you tell them. If it's going to give me the deal that I need, you can tell them everything you want. Tell them this, tell them that, tell them this. Don't tell them this, but tell them that. So that's my 4 negotiation tips. Thank you for watching. I know I saved them till the very, very end here. If you have any questions, if you want to hear any more stories from a buying side, selling side, personal side about negotiations and about the ways that we've seen things go and how you can use those experiences to help you in a negotiation with real estate or buying anything for that matter, hit us up. Follow, like, subscribe, whatever platform you're watching this on. Let us know what we can do to help you. And we hope to hear from you. We'll see you. Thanks for watching.